America, welcome back to my channel. I know this video is a couple weeks late, but the way I see it, it's better late than never. Today I'm doing my August wrap-up. I had a really good reading month in August. I read a total of 15 books, which is a personal high for me. But that's because I wasn't really filming and editing videos for certain reasons that I talked about in my last video. Most of the books I read in August I gave 4 out of 5 stars. The first book I read was Endess by Jessica Shirvington. This is one of the books in her Violet Eden chapter series, and this is a YA paranormal fantasy series. I read the previous books in the series in July. This book series basically follows this girl named Eden, who finds out that she's part angel, part human. She's what's known as a Grigori. Each Grigori in this world has a partner. A Grigori and her partner fight exiles, which are angels that have been exiled from heaven. The Gregorian exiles are her enemies in this series. Gregoris and their partners aren't able to fall in love. Violet has always had a best friend named Lincoln, and she's secretly had feelings for Lincoln, but because they're her Grigori partners, they aren't able to be together. This series basically follows their relationship and the angst and back and forth in their relationship. In Endess, the tension between Violet and Lincoln is at an all-time high. Violet is looking to stop this dark angel from punishing humans, just because of what the gods have done to angels in the past. Also, Violet wants to find out who her Grigori creator is, since she's not sure if she wants to be a part of the Academy, which is the organization that Grigori angels belong into, or if she doesn't think that she should be accepted into it because some other Grigoris at the Academy feel that her actions up to this point have been selfish and reckless. I really liked how this book delved more deeply into the characters and their lives, and I really liked the romantic tension between Violet and Lincoln in this book. I think in my July wrap-up I said that this series keeps on getting better and better with each book, and that still holds true. I found myself gripped through this book from beginning to end. The plot was very action-packed, and I liked the relationship dynamics as well. The next book I read in August was Empower by Jessica Shirvington. This is the final book in the Violet Eden chapter series. And I do have to say, this book is the best book in the series out of all of the previous ones. This book had everything in it. Happy moments, devastating moments. It basically had all the emotions that a person can feel. It also definitely had a nice balance between the action-packed plot and the character development and the character relationships as well. And I liked how the series was resolved overall. I believe it was a perfect way to end the series. I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. The finale to this series was phenomenal. The next book I picked up in August was Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This is the first book in her Beautiful Disaster series. This book was actually a reread for me. This book follows the relationship between Abby Abernathy and a guy named Travis Maddox. Abby wants to be a good girl and leave her troubled past behind, but that all changes when he meets Travis Maddox. Travis is the big man on campus, and he's quite the charmer with girls. He's also a part of an underground fighting ring, and Abby realizes that Travis is everything that she wants to avoid. Travis is intrigued by Abby, so they make a bet with each other, and this bet results in Abby having to live with Travis for a month. I had the same feelings about this book the second time around. I felt that Abby was a little too stubborn and her behavior was annoying at times. I love the chemistry that Abby and Travis had with each other. This is a friends to lovers romance, but this is also a very angsty read as well, since there's so much back and forth between this couple. The next book I read was Walking Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This book follows the events of the first book, just from Travis Maddox's point of view. Again, this book was a reread for me, and I really enjoyed it the second time around. I loved being back in Travis's head and just remembering what some situations were like from his perspective. I love Travis as a character. He has a tough guy exterior, but inside he has a heart of gold, and he's really a softie. This book does have some scenes that we didn't see in Beautiful Disaster, and I actually forgot some of the details about this book. So I'm glad that I refreshed my memory. It was definitely a good reread. Next, I picked up A Beautiful Wedding by McGuire. This is the third book in her Beautiful series. The novella starts off right at their engagement and through what it takes to get them to the ceremony, but it also shows their life in the future with their first anniversary. I enjoyed this little novella, and before August, I had never read this book. I had only read Beautiful Disaster and Walking Disaster before. So this little novella is a good read. I enjoyed it overall. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. But the only thing that I was a little annoyed about was Abby's reason for marrying Travis. And I thought that this part of the book should have been left out of the novella completely. I thought that was unnecessary to know. My main reason for rereading Beautiful Disaster and Walking Disaster and the little novella is because I wanted to read the spin-off series, the Maddox Brothers series. So naturally I picked up Beautiful Oblivion by McGuire. This is the first book in the Maddox Brothers series. And each book in this series follows a different brother of Travis Maddox. This book follows Trent Maddox and his relationship with a girl named Cammy. Trent is a tattoo artist. Cammy is a person that he met in the Beautiful series. She's a bartender at a bar called the Red Door. Trent has a crush on Cammy, but Cammy is determined not to get involved with him since she already has a boyfriend. Her boyfriend, named TJ, is hardly ever around. Even though Cammy does have a boyfriend, she finds herself growing feelings for Trent. Cammy thinks that she and Trent are just friends, but as the story progresses, it's clear that they've ventured into beyond friend territory, and they've grown closer emotionally than two people who are just plain friends. Because Cammy has a boyfriend, even though she has growing feelings for Trent, she's determined to keep him at arm's length. Also, Cammy flies to California, where her boyfriend TJ is, and she's determined to figure out what she wants, since she's torn between her boyfriend TJ and Trent. Trent figures out what Cammy is up to, and he doesn't want her to leave to go on this trip to visit her boyfriend, because he really loves her, and he wants her to choose him. I liked the chemistry between Trent and Cammy in this book, and I felt that their relationship developed slowly and naturally. I loved everything about this book up until the plot reveal at the end. I was surprised by the plot reveal, but I didn't like that the book just ended abruptly after that. I would have wanted to see the aftermath of that reveal and characters' reactions to it. So because of that, I didn't like the abrupt ending to the book. But I liked everything else about this book. I believe I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. The next book I read in August was Beautiful Redemption by McGuire. This is the second book in the Maddox Brothers series, and I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. This book was just okay, but I didn't like it very much. This book follows Thomas Maddox, the oldest Maddox boy, and his relationship with a woman named Agent Lindy. Thomas works in the FBI, and he's in the middle of cracking a big case, one that involves his younger brother Travis. And Thomas needs to protect Travis because of what happened in the previous series. So, in order to crack this big case, Thomas hires a new recruit named Agent Lindy, who's also an FBI agent, and she specializes in translating tapes for the FBI when they're in other languages. But Thomas and Agent Lindy meet at the beginning of the book, and they have a one-night stand, not knowing that they'll eventually work together on this big case. So when they realize that they do work together, that's when things become complicated. The reason why I didn't like this book is because, given the reveal from the previous book in this series, Cammy's boyfriend TJ was actually Thomas. The reason why I didn't like this book is because I didn't really find Thomas's relationship with Agent Lindy to be that believable. It seemed that he just couldn't let his old relationship and his old feelings for Cammy go, even though it didn't really seem to me that he had strong feelings for Cammy in the previous book. So that's why I didn't really believe his present relationship with Agent Lindy, and I didn't really like the connection between them either. Agent Lindy has also been hurt by a previous relationship, and she was confused about her feelings for that old relationship as well, and she wasn't sure if she could trust Thomas throughout the book. So overall, because of these two characters having old baggage, I didn't really believe the relationship between them was that believable. The next book I read was Beautiful Sacrifice by McGuire. This is the third book in the Maddox Brothers series. And this book follows Taylor Maddox and his relationship with a girl named Fallon. He meets this girl named Fallon when he comes into a restaurant one day, and Fallon works there as a waitress. Taylor is interested in Fallon from the very beginning, and he's determined to ask her out on a date. Fallon reluctantly says yes, and the story takes off from there. I thought the plot in this book was good. I really liked Taylor as a character. He's arrogant, and he has the same temper as the other Maddox boys in the family. I didn't really like Fallon's character, though. I found her behavior at times to be annoying. Fallon wants to keep her relationship with Taylor just as friends, but Taylor wants the relationship to become something more. That's when Fallon starts growing feelings for Taylor and realizes that she likes him as someone more than his friend. The plot twist in this book shocked me. I didn't know what to think about it, but given Fallon's personality, it makes sense why she's so guarded and why there was a mystery surrounding Fallon up to this point in the book. I found it annoying that Fallon broke up with Taylor because of it. She wanted to give him options in his future that he wouldn't have if he stayed with her. However, it was clear that Taylor still loved Fallon despite her past and everything that she's gone through. I was surprised that Taylor slept with someone else so soon after breaking up with Fallon. I didn't think he would move on to somebody else that quickly. He doesn't seem like the type of guy to do that, so that kind of threw me for a loop. Since Taylor has a dangerous job as a firefighter, when the plot twist came, him and his brother being in danger in a fire, I was on the edge of my seat during those moments of the book, but I had a feeling that Taylor was going to be okay. After that incident, though, I was surprised that Fallon still kept Taylor at arm's length. I was kind of growing tired of the life and death plot that the author used just to make the characters confront their feelings for each other. It seemed a little too contrived to me and a little over the top, to be honest. She did the same thing in the previous book, Beautiful Redemption. Overall, I did enjoy the book, and I liked how their relationship progressed for the most part. Even though I did understand her reasoning, overall she was just an annoying female character. That's why I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Obviously, the next book I read was Beautiful Burn. This is the next book in the Maddox Brothers series, and this book follows Tyler Maddox's relationship with a girl named Ellie. Like his twin brother, Taylor, Tyler is also a firefighter in a hotshot crew. Ellie Edson is the daughter of a billionaire who owns a Fortune 500 company. Ellie has always been a party girl who's gotten into trouble with alcohol and drugs. She's wanted her parents to pay attention for years, but now that they're finally paying attention to her, unfortunately they've grown tired with her behavior and her wild antics. So they cut her off financially, and they force her to move out and find a job on her own. Ellie gets an office job near where Tyler and his hotshot crew are working. Ellie's coworker realizes she has a knack for photography and encourages her to take notes and photographs for a newspaper article about Tyler and his hotshot firefighter crew. Ellie reluctantly agrees, but this forces her to spend a long period of time with Tyler. Ellie feels that she should just keep her relationship with Tyler as friends, but Tyler clearly wants more out of his relationship with Ellie. Ellie and Tyler are technically friends with benefits, but Ellie doesn't want to label their relationship. The reason why he's keeping Tyler at arm's length is because she doesn't feel that he's good enough for Tyler. She feels that she'll hurt him later on. Ellie also has a problem with alcohol. She's determined to move forward and become a better person, but her addiction rears its ugly head as the story progresses. I liked how the relationship between Tyler and Ellie developed. I enjoyed seeing Ellie's transformation from the beginning of the book to the end. She really grows as a character. I felt that the romance in the relationship was okay in this book, but I felt that the focus of this book was more on the characters individually than their relationship with each other. I was surprised at the conclusion of this book. I didn't expect the conclusion to go this way, but I'm happy for Tyler and Ellie, that they got their happy ending, despite all of the problems that Ellie was experiencing. Next up, I read Something Beautiful. This is a little novella that follows the relationship between Shepley Maddox and America Mason. Shepley Maddox is Travis Maddox's first cousin. In this book, we get to see how Shepley and America first met when they started dating each other, and we also get to see their lives in the present day, in amongst the events of the Maddox Brothers series. In this book, Shepley and America go away for the weekend to America's parents' house for a getaway and to try to get their relationship back on track. Shepley and America have been dating for a few years, but lately their relationship has gotten off track, and Shepley isn't sure why. He feels that he's doing everything that America wants, but he doesn't feel that America and him are talking or communicating like they used to, so something's amiss in their relationship. America likes her relationship with Shepley, but she wants their relationship to take the next step. She wants to move forward with Shepley. These two characters end up in a tornado. They end up getting separated from each other, and they don't know if the other's alive. I really liked seeing their relationship and really getting to know who America and Shepley are as characters, since we didn't really get much about them, or even in the Beautiful series. We didn't really get to know them as people as much. I also liked the little tidbits that we got to see about Abby and Travis in this book, and where their lives have taken them. The next book I read was A Beautiful Funeral. This is the final book in the Maddox Brothers series. I won't go into too much detail about this book, since it's best to go into this final book blind, since there's a lot of plot reveals and a lot of stuff going on in this book. The only thing I will say about this book is that I enjoyed the family feeling in this book, and how this final book featured everyone in the series that we've met previously, and some of the couple's lives as parents, since they do have children now, and they've moved beyond their college years. This book made me tear up at different points because of the different plot reveals. I liked all the stories about the couples in this book except Trent and Cammie's. I felt that Cammie's character was downgraded a little, and I didn't really like that about this book. But overall, I enjoyed it immensely. This is my favorite book in the Maddox Brothers series, and it was really well done. The next book I read in August was Hate List by Jennifer Brown. This is a YA contemporary standalone, and it follows this girl named Valerie. And just this past school year, Nick decided to shoot up their high school, killing different people that were on the hate list that Nick and Valerie made up together. Now it's the beginning of a new school year, and Valerie is forced to return to her school, navigating the different relationships around her. Her friendships have changed since the school shooting, and her family doesn't want anything to do with her because of it. People are looking for someone to blame for this shooting, and because Valerie is the only one left alive, everyone blames her. I felt that Valerie was treated unfairly in this book, and everyone wants to blame her when the shooting wasn't really her fault, and she didn't really mean for anyone to get hurt. Valerie made a list called the Hate List, and on this list are people all that wronged or bullied Nick and her. She just created the list as a way to blow off steam or vent her anger. She didn't really take the hate list seriously, or believe that it would be used in a school shooting. But it seems Nick thought differently, and he took things too far. This book examines what you really know about people in your high school. This book really shows what it means to be human, and that even Nick, who was the shooter, was a human as well. He was his own person with his own feelings and his own ideas. And he wasn't necessarily the bad shooter that everyone else makes him out to be. I really liked the friendships that were explored in connection to Valerie in this book, and it was interesting to see the family dynamics that Valerie experienced after the shooting. Her parents don't really want anything to do with her, so the only person who really cares about her and her family is her little brother. Valerie feels like no one understands her or her perspective other than her psychologist. And through her therapy, Valerie grows as a person and finds a way to move forward with her life after this shooting. I really liked how this book featured details about the shooting at the beginning of each chapter, and I liked how through Valerie's eyes we get to learn more about the shooter Nick and what he was really like as a person. I really liked this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I felt that this book really addressed an important societal issue like school shootings really well, and it got to really examine the issue from all angles. This book is definitely one that still sticks with me. It's a book that really makes you think, which I appreciated. The next book I read was The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. This is the second book in her Remnant Chronicles trilogy, and this is a YA fantasy trilogy. This book follows right where the previous one left off. Leah also finds out the true identity of the prince, and he's come to the Vendon Kingdom to rescue Leah, since he doesn't think the Vendon people are good people at all. That's where the second book, The Heart of Betrayal, starts off. I really liked the second book and just the character development that's explored in this book, now that we know who is the prince and who is the assassin from the previous book. This book developed Leah's character a lot more. I really liked how kick-ass she was in this book, in terms of fighting and in making her own decisions. I also liked the tension between Wraith and Leah in this book, since Leah doesn't feel that she should trust Wraith anymore since he lied to her about his identity in the previous book. I also liked learning more about Caden in this book and a little bit more of his backstory. Caden helped Leah understand more about the Vendon Kingdom. Aside from all that, I loved the political intrigue in this book. The story had a lot more meat to it, and it had a lot more happening in terms of the characters in the story. I was a lot more hooked into the story in this sequel than the first book. Leah and Caden became friends in this book. I was really hoping that Leah and Caden would get together in this book, but unfortunately that didn't end up happening. Next, I read The Beauty of Darkness. This is the third book in the Remnant Chronicles trilogy. I loved the continuing tension between Wraith and Leah in this book. At one point, Wraith is out of the picture in this book, so I was hoping Caden and Leah would get together, but still, that didn't end up happening. Even though Caden and Leah didn't end up together like I was hoping, I still enjoyed this book overall. The conclusion to this book was really good. I also liked that Leah repaired her relationship with her best friend, since she wasn't on the best of terms with her in the previous book. Overall, I would say this was a good fantasy series, but it's not necessarily one that I would reread. I enjoy fantasy stories that are a little more fast-paced and have more action in them versus character development. I felt that this trilogy relied a little too much on character development and not enough action. So that's the only thing that I didn't like about this trilogy. It just didn't have as much action as I was expecting, which is why I don't think I'll reread this fantasy trilogy. And the final book I read in August was Wake by Amanda Hocking. This is the first book in a paranormal fantasy series. This book follows a girl named Gemma, who is forced to become a siren. There's a mystery about these new girls who have moved to town, and Gemma comes to realize that they're sirens, and they've forced her to become a siren against her will. So Gemma is just learning how to be a siren, and she doesn't want to be a siren, so she wants to find a way to get out of it. Besides the paranormal aspect, Gemma is a high school student, and she has an older sister named Harper. She has a good relationship with her dad. Her mom was in an accident years ago, and this left her with a traumatic brain injury. Since her accident, her relationship with her mom hasn't been the same as it once was. Overall, I enjoyed learning more about Gemma and her family situation. Gemma also has this best friend named Alex, who she starts to grow feelings for. It's clear that Gemma has a crush on Alex, and he likes her as well. Overall, I did enjoy this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I liked the characters more than anything, but I felt the story and the paranormal aspect to this book was just a little too simplistic and not engaging enough. I have read other books by the author, and I liked those books better than this one. Even though I did give this book 3 stars, I have since continued the series, since I did like the characters and I wanted to find out more about Gemma. Those are the 15 books that I read in August. I know that this wrap-up was long, but if you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts, including my thoughts on certain spoilers in these books, I'll put links to my Goodreads reviews down below, in case you want to know more. If you want to see more videos from me, I'll put some videos up on the screen in case you guys want to check those out. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.